Hi guys. So this week we are going to take what we read, researched, and the graphic organizer we completed on William Carlos Williams. And we're going to learn a little bit about another poet from the Love That Dog book. You'll do that by going to the virtual reference collection, which we haven't looked at in a while, so I want to review how to do that now. And then you'll take that information and you'll complete a graphic organizer just like you did the last time on William Carlos Williams. Now, you'll see I have that template form here. You don't have to follow the exact template, but I just think it's a little bit easier for you. But as long as you include the information about your poet's background, what's inspired him or her, and how he uses that inspiration in their writing, that's, all that you need to complete the activity. But again, I pasted the template from last week in here thinking it would be a little bit easier. So how do we get to the virtual reference collection? Now here I am on the library homepage. I'm going to select Virtual Reference Collection. Once here, remember you have to click on the drop-down menu. It comes up alphabetically, which is helpful. Go to E, and there's East Merches Elementary School. Okay, and all of our database subscriptions come up. If you remember, these blue bars that come up, they're also in alphabetical order. That's your subject heading. So right there, you don't have to scroll down too far, is the biography subject heading, all the databases that have biographies in there. So this is different. This is new for you. We haven't looked at what I'm about to click on. And we are going to look in this database, Biography Reference Bank. In third grade, we spent our time in these two databases, the Lincoln Library Biography for Beginners. This one is much more, there's a wealth of information in here. It looks almost like a university or college level database, but you're ready for that. So big kind of disclaimer here. When I click on the database now in a moment, I'm going to be brought right to it. You will not. You'll remember you have to enter a username and password. So the username, and I'll type this in our Google Doc for you in the Google Classroom directions. The username is East space Mariches 1. Again, that's East space bar Mariches, and the numeral 1 is immediately after the S, no space bar there. And then the password, I bet you're all calling it out at me right now. Everyone's going to remember this, I know. The password is SAND, S-A-N-D. Again, I don't have to put that information in because I visit these databases so often. So let me go ahead and click on it now. And right up, there comes a search bar for me immediately. Now, the three poets you have to choose from are Walter D. Myers. If you remember, he was our local New York poet from Harlem. His son Christopher Myers does illustrating for him. So you could choose to research him if you like. You can research Valerie Worth. She was the poet that did the dog poem earlier in the year. Or you could select from Robert Frost, who you've also learned about in your classroom with your classroom teachers. So it's up to you. I'm going to type in Valerie Worth because it was my opinion that the least would be found on her in these databases. Okay. Now I actually get 48 resources back, 48 different articles and things on her. I'm just going to go ahead and click on the very first one, because what typically happens in the first one, even if there isn't as much information, which look here, this isn't really going to do much for me except I have her birth date, the date that she passed away, her jobs. But what's really cool here, guys, pay attention, related biographies. I'm going to click on this. And here I get a nice article about Valerie Worth. And what's also nice about this, if you remember in third grade, the Lincoln Library biographies, all of the articles could be played on audio. And in this case, this does as well. So it could help you if you want to take some notes or go back and complete the graphic organizer while you're listening.
Worth, Valerie. Full text. Copyright by the H.W. Wilson Company. All rights reserved. Worth, Valerie. October 29, 1933, author of Small Poems, etc. Autobiographical sketch of Valerie Worth Bulk. As a child, I preferred reading and writing to everything else, and I still feel much the same way. I was also greatly attracted to smallness, perhaps because throughout grade.
Okay, so you get the idea. Now, it's not a narrated voice like what we got to listen to in school when we listened to Love That Dog. You can tell it's that sort of computerized voice, but it's still helpful. I mean, it's helpful if you find some of the vocabulary a challenge to read independently. And it's also helpful, like I said, if you want to toggle back and forth between the work document and the article. It's nice just to have it read to you as an option. Again, you don't have to do it. You could also print it if you prefer. So then let me just go back in case you weren't interested in choosing Valerie Worth. Let's go ahead and we'll select Robert Frost. Search. I mean, this now we have 824 results that come back. Don't overwhelm yourself. Remember, this is what you're looking for. Background on your poet. What inspired them, and how do you see that inspiration, that creativity in their writing? How are they showing that to you? Just like in the River of Words book we read about. Okay, so I'll post this in the classroom. If you have any questions, particularly about the VRC, because I know I feel a little bit badly that we didn't look at it much this year. It's something you haven't looked at much since third grade. But it'll be really helpful for you as you move up in your career in education. If you have any questions, go on to the live chat and post it up and I'll get back to you right away. We can have a little meeting, GoToMeeting to go over it as well. So, okay, yeah, that's it this week. I'll see you guys online very soon.